walked her from the plane to the shack, that it just looked like just a shack, boarded shack. That they opened the door up and there was an elevator in this thing, which, of course, she thought was very strange. It was going down, not up, obviously. There wasn't a second floor, third floor to this thing. Just like a maintenance shack in the middle of nowhere. So anyhow, she got into this elevator with the security guys, and she said that she started feeling butterflies and got a little scared because the elevator kept going down. It didn't go down a floor or two like she suspected it would. It went down quite a distance. She said that once the elevator stopped, the doors opened up and that there was a little city down there under the desert. She said that they got around in golf carts, that they had a lot of people were working there. She said a lot of German rocket scientists were working there. It's like 1954, 55 is the closest date that I could pinpoint her down to. That kind of works along with, Operation Paperclip, where we sort of, after World War II, we divided the scientists up with Russia and ourselves that we got from Germany. And so I suspect that was who my mom was talking about when she said that, she said that she knew Werner von Braun, that he was actually an acquaintance. She said that he was charming, which I gave her a little bit of hell over. I said, well, wasn't he a Nazi, Mom? How could he be charming? But she said he wasn't a real Nazi. He was forced to do what he did for Hitler, but that all he wanted to do was go to the moon, that was his big thing, that he told her that we built the rockets right in Germany, but we sent them to the wrong planet. In other words, they were making the V2, buzz bombs, the V1 bombs and all that were falling on Liverpool and Great Britain, where he just wanted to go to the moon. My mom said that they had, there were drugstores and little cafes. That there was a cafe that had yellow umbrellas, tables, like an outdoor cafe. And she always thought that was funny because she said, you don't need an umbrella indoors. And it made her giggle a bit. But it was, to make people feel comfortable. They were apparently, down there working on stuff for long periods of time. My mom never delineated exactly what the projects were that they were working on. She said that they were esoteric projects. And that's kind of, those were the two really weird stories that my mom talked about. I got into a bit of trouble in fourth grade because I did a show and tell. What do your parents do? My dad's a landscaper. My dad does this, that. My mom used to do, and then blah. And I'm talking about this stuff. And the teacher literally had my mom come in for a parent-teacher conference. She thought that I was lying And my mom, she had to tell her, well, my son has a really good imagination. I'm sorry. I'll make sure he doesn't do that again. And then I sort of got the talking to. My mom was actually really sweet about it. She said, you wouldn't know this, Earl. She was at first really angry. But then she calmed down. She said, you wouldn't have known any of this. I didn't think that you would remember the stories when I told you when you were a kid. You were just 5 years old, for God's sake. But you can't ever talk about this. You can get your mom into horrible trouble. And plus they'll think that you're crazy, that people don't know about this. And I didn't know that what she was telling me was something secretive at the time. It was just my mom talking to her son. Later on, back in the 1970s, my mom got back into, she started working she opened up an employment office, but she was working mostly with the aerospace community out here. It was in Thousand Oaks, California, is where I grew up, was my hometown. My mom sort of single-handed populated the Rockwell Science Center that was there in Lynn Ranch. She got people out. She did a lot of business with Lockheed Skunk Works, with Northrop, Honeywell, you name it. It was all the aerospace companies that my mom was involved with. And my guess is that because she already had the security clearances and they were still in place, that people felt comfortable using my mom's background there in the field. And she eventually continued doing this until the year that she passed away, 1999. She was still working as a corporate headhunter for different aerospace companies. So that was, my mom. Other than all that I just told you, the other thing that she talked about, and she talked about it with authority. This was back in 1977 after I took her to see the movie Star Wars. My mom, at the end of the film, it was myself and her. We were in Santa Monica seeing the movie. It had been out for a couple of days. And it was very close, if you think about it, to where her old office was when she was working for Hughes Aircraft. And for whatever reason, I think that the stars were just aligned, and it was the right time and the right place. And my mom, we were in Santa Monica because my mom kept getting cancers. They said that it seemed like my mom had even been irradiated somehow, because they weren't metastatic. They were just, she just kept on popping up with cancers all over her body. She had a clear cancer screening, and we saw this movie, and my mom got talking. The curtains closed, the lights were going on in the theater, and my mom started saying, "Earl, you have no idea how true to life that movie is. Star Wars is not far-fetched." She said that there's intelligent life in this universe, that our government knows about it. They'll never tell the public. They'll never tell people about it. But we know this. She said that spaceships, the different races, that's all. And when my mom was telling me this, it was like, on one hand, it was this light bulb going off over my head. It explained a lot of mysterious stuff about my mom and her work and certain things she had said over the years. Like when my mom had heard about the Betty and Barney Hill abduction case, I remember her telling my aunt that she thought that was a very likely a true story, that from what she knew through her work, that she believed that the Betty and Barney Hill case was a real thing. And that was back in 1968. I was 10 years old. I heard my mom talking to her sister about this. So this stuff all planted that bug in me, planted it in me when I was a little kid, and I grew up with this knowledge. My mom said, it's realer than you'll ever know. And when she passed away back in 1999, and she passed away because of another bout with cancer, it kept coming back. Again, it wasn't metastatic. It was, this brand new cancer. It wound up killing her eventually. But, I got her to talk a little bit more on her deathbed. She said that she knew that her job was risky, that there were risks involved. But like a soldier, she said that she did that for her country, that she'd do it again, and that she had no ill feelings about it, and that she would never sue her government. She said she would, because I thought maybe she should go and find legal help because, she hadn't really been taken care of monetarily. What's worth your life, but she felt like what she had done, that she had done it for her country. She was very patriotic about it. So after my mom passed away, I started reading book after book about the UFO phenomena. I became very, very kind of obsessed with it. I wanted to understand it. She said it's realer than you will ever know. And I kind of wanted to prove my mom wrong there. I wanted to be able to know myself. And this led me to eventually to join MUFON and to become a field investigator here in Southern California for MUFON, which I do to this day. I'm very proud of the work that I do. I'm proud of the work that we do. I have an amazing state director, Jeff Krause, who was my mentor and everything that I've learned about this phenomena as far as doing UFO cases. You know,
how is
he
doing? How's his health?
That?
How's he doing? How is Jeff?
Doing good. He's doing very, very well. And I still, my UFO cases, I get assigned through Jeff. You know, he's my, the chief investigator here. I'm very proud that he chose me.
He helped me start this radio show. He helped me start this radio show.
Wonderful. Wow.
A long time ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He's probably on here somewhere, or either was it Revolution Radio? I forget where. Yeah, he was going to be my co-host, and we did a little on Roswell and a little on Corso's book, because my uncle, Strom Thurmond had called me about UFOs when I was a kid, and
interesting.
Yeah, wanted me to come to Washington, but he I wanted to be an investigator because I had my company, ACAR. But when did you get involved with MUFON? Was it 2000 that you were awakened?
No, it was
2000
and 2000. Was it 2015? I think is when I joined, and I became a field investigator. Let's see. Well, I've been doing this for 6 years now, so it was 2015.
Oh my God! So I thought you'd been in since a long time ago. So we were talking in 2015 because Jeff had come on way before you, and he recommended you take his place because you remember he was sick or something. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Or something. But he did one or two or three. He'll remember, but that's part of the history now with our UFO Association. But I think that's how I called you one time years and years ago. So it was 2015 or 16.
That was. Yeah. But anyway, that's
okay.
how I, got into what I'm doing, and
2015.
I started as just, another field investigator here, but they liked my work, obviously. So, and I'm, and with MUFON, it's our creed, is a scientific study of UFOs for the benefit of humanity. And we're very, it's very, there's definitely, you have to be able to do the nuts and bolts part of this to do it properly. But I've also learned that there's more than just the nuts and bolts to ufology. I went into this thinking that I was going to be running after, flying saucers with rivets, that that it was going to be, outer space hot rods. And it's very different from that, as anybody who is in this field knows, that there's a psychological element to it, especially when you're dealing with the experiencer phenomena. So much of it, I think, goes on in the person's head, that there's a psychological element to, and I'm not saying that it's just that person. There's it's almost like a dance between us and the intelligence that
it's
is
a consciousness.
dealing
with the mind and consciousness, I believe. We're getting into that with neuroscience and with Edgar Mitchell's group, Noetic Sciences.
Absolutely.
And we're all doing our part with our various associations, but we need more. And we were working also with Monroe's Institute, and that's where Mike Ringley came in with Revolution Radio. Of course, he was a staunch Republican hawk. He actually had Hawk, called himself Hawk. So I think that's why Revolution went so right stream. But at the same time, I don't have those radio shows anymore. Jeff Krause, though, was a wonderful person. I guess he's still alive.
Well, yeah. Well, we all get busy. That's the whole thing. I have to balance what media things I do with my actual work. We work in MUFON. It isn't all volunteer. No, it's a volunteer.
You were in the office.
In the office, they're volunteers as well. They're volunteers as well. I think the only person on payroll, I think that the person that does the journal gets a little stipend, and the executive director. Other than that, everybody's a volunteer. So, and that's the way I think that it should be. I mean, if I was doing this, if people are doing it for money, then they're bribable or they're swayable for